Norway is regarded as one of the happiest countries in the world, together with many of its Nordic friends. But what makes Norway so great? Well, that's not what this video is on about. No, because you actually want to know about the SIM cards options here in Norway. But I can already tell you that things are expensive, just like everything else in Norway. But the quality of the network is actually amazing, especially knowing how big the country is and how sparsely populated the country actually is. So what are the options here in Norway and how much do things cost? Well, I will tell you all about that in this Norway SIM card buying guide. So let's get started, shall we? Hi, it's Adu for Travel Wiz here, where we talk about everything related to traveling with your phone, such as buying SIM cards in Norway. If videos like this sound interesting to you, make sure to subscribe to this channel. This video has been edited by Misha, which is one of my new editors here. You may have noticed that some of the videos might look a bit different than this one because I'm testing out multiple editors and all of them do a much better job than I used to do. So that's that. Okay, so let me just get you a very quick summary in about 1 minute about everything you need to know about Norwegian SIM card so we can get up to grips. Okay, in Norway you actually have 4 operators offering prepaid services, which are Telenor Norway, Telia Norway, Lycamobile Norway and Mycall. SIM cards will cost you 29 Norwegian kroner, 49 or 99 Norwegian kroner depending on the mobile operator. There are no specific two-way SIM cards, although some airports do sell SIM cards, which will be Oslo, Gardermoen, so not the other one, and Stavanger or something like that. Their SIM cards are a little bit more expensive because they include plans. SIM card registration is mandatory in Norway and you can use your passport, although trying to register your SIM card online will be impossible because you need the local ID for that, but we will talk about that a bit later. 5G is available in Norway and it's quite extensive on the Telenor and Telia network. I'm not sure if Telenor offers 5G to prepaid customers, but I know that Telia does, and also to one of its MVNOs, which is Mycall. Lycamobile has no 5G NR as yet. And the plans here in Norway are actually quite expensive, as in very expensive, but you will find out later in this video. Okay, that's the quick summary about SIM cards here in Norway. If you got all the information you needed, all good, make sure to like this video and I will see you in the next one. But if you want more, which I guess you probably do, make sure to keep watching because I have much more to tell you. Okay, so I already introduced you to the 4 options here in Norway that are easily accessible to travelers. Although I'm actually gonna skip one operator, which is Telenor Norway, and here is why. Telenor Norway doesn't actually have prepaid plans. Yes, they have a prepaid offering, but no plan. And what you can do is get a SIM card, which is 49 Norwegian kroner on top of my head, and then you can use pay-as-you-go rate, which would be 20 Norwegian kroner for a day, and then you have unlimited data for the rest of the day. Sounds great, but of course there's a catch, because you can use up to 1 GB of data at full speed. Well, I say full speed, restricted to 300 megabits per second, very fast, very good, but after you've used 1 GB of data in a month, your speeds will be throttled to 128 gigabytes, no not gigabyte, kilobits per second. So that's very excruciating slow. If you've ever been traveling and then you notice that your phone says 2G or E, yeah, very slow. That's actually what 120 kilobits per second is. And you cannot actually buy another plan, or it doesn't reset the next day. It will stay like that until the end of the month. So that's why I'm actually not going to talk about Telenor Norway, even though they are great. Luckily we have some other options. Okay, so what are these other options and how much do these SIM cards cost? Well, let me tell you. If you buy a Telia Norway SIM card from resellers like supermarkets, some random convenience store like a 7-Eleven, you can get a SIM card for 29 Norwegian kroner. But if you decide to go to a Telia store, you can get a SIM card for 99 kroner. You get some perks, which I'm showing you on the screen already, but if you just want to save money and 29 Norwegian kroner is not, it's not pocket change, you might want to buy it from a reseller like a 7-Eleven, supermarket, grocery store, something like that. So Lycamobile SIM cards are officially free, but most independent sellers require you to top up on the spot or buy a plan, usually starting from 100 Norwegian kroner, although some starter packs are sold at, let's say, a grocery store for like usually 49 Norwegian kroner and up, usually in increments of 50, and then from 49 to 99, 149 and so forth. And then you have Mycall, which sells SIM cards for 49 Norwegian kroner. Okay, somewhere at the end of the video we'll be talking about the plans offered by these 3 options, but I already want to tell you how expensive mobile data is here in Norway. Norway is on position of 191 of the most affordable countries, where 1 GB of data will cost you on average 5.18 USD, which is, well, expensive because there are like more than 200 countries tracked in this leaderboard. And Norway is actually the fourth most expensive country to get data or 1 gigabyte of data in all of Europe. So not just the European Union or European Economic Area, no, all of Europe. And 3 gigabytes of data, so our plan giving you 3 gigabytes of data and some minutes and SMS will cost you at least 249 Norwegian kroner, meaning that you will spend, at least for this 3 gigabyte plan, 83 Norwegian kroner. If I'm calculating correctly, that's about 12 USD for just 1 gigabyte of data. That's not cheap at all, is it? No, so mobile data is expensive. But like I said, the quality of the network is good. In fact, Norway has the fastest median download speed in the country. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But like everything else in Norway, it's pricey. Later in the video, I will give you some alternatives where you can save much more money with Travel eSIM and Travel SIM cards, but that's for a little bit later. But speaking of SIM card prices, if you go to ptw.link/price, you get access to my tool where you can get the SIM card prices of all mobile operators all around the world. Use it if you travel to another country than just Norway. Okay, so where to buy yourself a SIM card in Norway? I already gave you some hints. You can buy it from a Telia store, which will cost you a bit more than from a reseller. The same for Mycall. They actually have stores, but only two, one in Oslo and one in Bergen if I'm correct, and then resellers will sell SIM cards as well. So even though it has two stores like in all of Norway, you can go to a 7-Eleven grocery store and most of them will sell a SIM card to you as well. In the case of Lycamobile, it doesn't have stores that you can visit, but resellers sell SIM cards. And as I mentioned earlier, you can get SIM cards at Bergen, Oslo, Gardermoen and Stavanger airports, which will be a bit more pricey, and usually Lycamobile SIM cards are sold there. Sometimes Mycall and Telenor SIM cards may be sold, but then, well, don't go for Telenor. And just so you know, eSIMs are not available to prepaid customers. Lycamobile and Mycall have no eSIMs at all. Telenor and Telia do, but it's only for postpaid/subscribers. So unfortunately, no eSIMs, but I will give you some eSIM recommendations later. Okay, I mentioned speeds earlier, saying that Norway actually has the fastest mobile download speeds around the world right now, which is correct when looking at median download speeds. But what about the individual operators? In this case, I have to compare it with Telenor because, well, those are the two options, Telenor and Telia. Telenor is actually the fastest, the median download speed of 89 megabits per second, but Telia has a median download speed of 77 when looking at 5G, which is also available to Mycall and Telia customers, prepaid customers of course. Then Telia is doing well with the median download speed of 251, but Telenor is doing much better with 300 plus. But for Telenor, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure if prepaid customers can use 5G. So let's talk about coverage. Well, Telenor actually has the best coverage with an amazing coverage score according to speed test of 741, whereas Telia has coverage score of 451. Although that sounds like extremely bad, worry not. In most places where you will go to, like tourist attractions, you will have coverage and good coverage, so don't worry about that. Okay, so what is the best SIM card in Norway? Well, of course, based on the information I've already given you, it would be Telenor. But as I mentioned, because you can only get 1 gigabyte of data at fast speeds, and then for the rest of the month you are throttled to like 2G speeds, you should not go with Telenor. So in that case, I actually recommend Telia and Mycall, because Telia has extensive coverage, good coverage to great coverage and fast speeds. Plus, you can use 5G as a prepaid customer with Telia. The same applies to Mycall, which uses the Telia network, and you also get 5G access. Then you may be wondering, so what about Lycamobile? Well, Lycamobile is actually the cheapest option here in Norway, but they do throttle speeds at 60 megabits per second. 16, so not 60. 60 would be okay, you know, that's doable, but 16, then we are talking about 3G speed, which is no fun, especially knowing that you can get download speed of like 300, 500, or even 700 on 5G. So that's why I recommend Telia and Mycall. Okay, so before we talk about the plans, I actually want to give you some Travel eSIM recommendation and Travel SIM card recommendations too, because as I mentioned, data is very, very expensive in Norway. Like everything else is expensive here in Norway. I actually have 3 eSIM recommendations I can give you, which are Airalo, Nomad and Holafly. Of these 3, I recommend Airalo the most because it's a good value for your money and you have good coverage and speed with Airalo. And its Norway eSIM is called Lofotel. You have 4 different options, 1 gigabyte of data for 7 days, and then you have 3, 5 and 10 gigabytes of data for 30 days. If you go to ptw.link/Norway-Airalo, you will get exclusive phone Travel Wiz deals for our readers and your watchers on YouTube, and you do not have to enter a code to get a good deal. And of course the link is in the description as well if you don't want to type it out. And based on the information that I have, phone Travel Wiz readers love the 3GB version and the 5GB version, and so far based on the emails I've gotten, yeah, they had good experiences with this eSIM. Then we also have eSIMs from Nomad, which has a little bit more options and is slightly more expensive than Airalo, but they're still great. Based on my experiences and other phone Travel Wiz readers / watchers, you actually have 5 options. The first 4 are the same as Airalo, but you have the secondary option, which is 20GB for 30 days, which is actually very popular with the phone Travel Wiz readers because you get much more data for lower prices than the mobile operators here in Norway would charge you. And if you use code AUDO123, you get $3 off your order. Although nowadays on Nomad you can change the currency to Canadian dollar, euro and British pound, so the discount might be 2.5 up to 3.5 depending on the currency, but in USD it will be 3. And recently I started a collaboration with Holafly because they introduced unlimited data plans throughout Europe, and that also applies in Norway, meaning you can get unlimited data for 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 60 and 90 days in Norway, which are great, cool plans, so you don't have to worry about data. But the plans are more expensive than the Nomad and Airalo options, but it will be cheaper than anything else than the Norwegian operator will charge you, because there are no unlimited data plans with the Norwegian operators. If you decide to get a Holafly eSIM, make sure to use code PhoneTravelWiz and you get 5% off your order. In collaboration with Holafly is a good thing because, well, discounts are great. So how do you top up your Norwegian SIM cards? In most cases you can just get a top-up voucher from a grocery store, 7-Eleven for example, and then you enter the voucher code USSD and you will be fine. And you can also recharge online, but be aware that if you have a Telia SIM card and you recharge online, it's only possible when you have a Nordic debit or credit card. So there needs to be a card issued in Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Iceland or Finland. So if you are from, let's say, the Netherlands or Canada, US, you cannot recharge online because there are restrictions on how to use the online recharge. With Mycall and Lycamobile, you don't have to worry about that. They accept international debit and credit cards. And the same applies to recharging with app for Telia. Then you also need one of the Nordic debit or credit cards. Okay, so let's talk about the plans, and you will see that the prices are a little bit high. I will mention every price in Norwegian kroner because that's used here, but here you will see how much 1 Norwegian kroner is in euro, British pound and USD, so you can get an idea of what to expect. So let's start with Telia, with the Telia Mobile Packer. Well, I don't speak Norwegian, I speak Danish, but yeah, so these packages which have to be activated on the Telia app, we have these options starting from 294 Norwegian kroner with 3 GB of data with limited minutes, aka 20,000 minutes, which is, well, a lot I would say. The same for SMS, then you get 20,000 SMS valid for 31 days, all the way up to 529 Norwegian kroner, then you get 30 GB of data, the same amount of unlimited minutes in SMS up to 31 days. One thing that I actually forgot to mention so far is because Norway is in the European Economic Area, EEA, so not the European Union actually, that means you can use your Norwegian SIM card in any other EU country / EEE country, which there's a, well, list of countries you can use your SIM card as well, and you can roam there for free. And the cool thing with Telia is they have no restrictions on, let's say, the data roaming allowance you can use. So let's say you get 30 GB of data, you can use the 30 GB of data in Lithuania, in, let's say, Portugal, Spain, all cool, but it is expensive. It might be better off getting a local SIM cards in those countries anyway. Okay, so now we have Lycamobile with the combo plans, and remember, Lycamobile has no 5G access and speeds are restricted to 16 megabits per second. We have various plans with quite some data. Here we do have European Union roaming allowances, so you cannot use your full allowance in most places, in most cases, my bad. Most of the time you get limited international minutes. There are some restrictions which you can see down there, and to activate the plan you dial the activation code, so there will be, let's say, the top one, *139 *1001, and then the pound key. And then we have Mycall with Mycall EU Plus, starting from 199 Norwegian kroner all the way up to 599 Norwegian kroner with 500 megabytes up to 30, unlimited minutes, unlimited SMS, also with restrictions, except for the SMS, it's like truly unlimited, whereas the minutes, international minute at least, have restrictions up to 20,000 minutes in most cases. And then you text the activation code to this number on the screen, and then you can activate the plan. And there are some restrictions on which countries you can call to with the international minutes. So that's actually a brief overview of SIM cards here in Norway. Although I said brief, it's quite a long video already, but there is much more to tell you. So if you want to learn more about the Norwegian operators and the other plans that I didn't mention in this video, make sure to go to ptw.link/Norway-guide and you can read it there. Or you can watch my explored videos. So let's say where I have a dedicated video about Telia Norway, where I will tell you everything you need to know, including the plans and how to top up, or the one for Mycall or Lycamobile Norway, which you can see on the playlist somewhere on the screen. And if you're watching this on the Travel Wiz website, there will be a link to the playlist underneath this video. Or if you scroll to the related section, so let's say if you scroll to the Mycall section, you will see the video there as well. So you have options. So that's what you need to know about Norwegian SIM cards. Which SIM cards are you gonna go with? Are you going with Telia, Mycall, or Lycamobile, or are you gonna ignore my recommendation and go with Telenor because it is the best and the fastest? Let me know in the comments down below. Remember, data is expensive here in Norway, and if your phone supports eSIM, get one of the travel eSIMs, which will be much more affordable, especially with the discounts available to you watchers and readers of the travelwiz.com website. Now, that's what you need to know about Norwegian SIM cards, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.